Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to create this GitHub user finder using Next.js and TanStack Query. So let me preview the project. So if I search my name, which is Ashish 10, and search it, as you can see, it will show my profile of my GitHub. It will show my name, the how many repos are there, followers and followings, all that thing. So let's get started. So I have this VS Code. Now I have to create a next app. So for that, what I've done, I have this terminal open. Here I am using pnpm. You can use npm as well. So pnpm dlx create next app at latest, and we can give this dot to select the same repository which we are using. So just we will keep the default and let it install. Now what we can do, we can write code and dot here, so it will open a VS Code file. So we can close this VS Code and let's set up this. So as you can see, all the files are here in my VS Code, and we have to remove some of the things before we start creating our project. So what we can do, we can go to our page.tsx file and control A to select all and just type rfc. All right, we can name it as home page. All right, now if I save this, and so to run this file, what I can do, I can go to my terminal in my VS Code and write pnpm run dev, and it will start at localhost 3001 because I am running this project at localhost 3000. So just click it and it will start the server. As you can see, nothing is coming here because we have removed the code. So if I do Control Z to check if this is working or not, and if I save this, something will come up here. Yeah, as you can see, the server is up. So let me remove it again and type here rfc, and let's keep it its page. Now what we can do, we can go back to our final project and see what color is our background. So we can do this in two ways. What I can do, I can give a minimum height screen here and give the bg of this color, or if you want, you can go to your layout.tsx file, as it is a parent file of all the pages which will be present in your next app. So here in this, you can add the background color, so it will add color to every pages which will come under this app folder. So let me do one thing, let me do that in my page.tsx file only. So give a class name, and to check what color is the background, I can use something called ColorZilla. So if I copy this, now what I can do, I can give bg of, let's say, hashtag this. It has a hashtag only. So now this will not show up because I have to give a minimum height of screen, Now if I save this, as you can see, the color of the background has changed to the color which is this one. Now what we can do, as this is our parent div, so what we can do, we can give a width of full, let's say, and give a display flex. So we can write flex justify center item center, as our contents will be centered, as you can see here. All right, now save this. Okay, now what we can do, we can start creating our this header file. So to do that, what we can do, we can, so let's give a comment here as header so that we can track our elements later. So create a div. All right, now this div will have a class name of let's do the class name later. At first we need to do something called, we need to import this font. So this font is space mono. So what we can do, I can go to my layout.tsx file, and here, as you can see, there is this constant which has our font. So here I can write space mono, and it will import the space mono. So there will be some error, so this one. Now what we can do, we can come back here, and this div will have an h1 element, and it will have something called def finder. Now if I save this, so as you can see, the def finder is visible. Now if I go back to my final project, as you can see, a toggler is there which converts this to dark mode and light mode. So as you can see, so to do that, what we can do, we need to install some dependencies next theme. So what I can do, I can install this here. So copy this. I'm using pnpm, so I have used pnpm, and let's create another terminal here, and let's hit enter. Now this will add next theme to my next app. So now let's do one thing. What they are saying, they are saying this next theme provider. So copy this, and let's create a component folder in my src file directory. So component, and let's create a file named theme provider.tsx. Now just paste it here. All right, now what I need to do is I need to copy this only, this theme provider, and go back to my layout.tsx file, and here I need to paste it. So paste it here and import it. So the Satsion UI already gives us this predefined component which you can copy and paste, but I have already created that. So what I can do, I have to create a theme toggler component. So theme toggler.tsx, and I can simply paste my component which I have created earlier. So this simply does, these are all not required. So okay, check it. So let me explain what this does. So before that, I need to install this Lucid React so that my icons work. So let's do one thing here, pnpm add Lucid React. Now this will add Lucid React to our next app. So this error will be gone after this is installed. As you can see, it's installed, and I hope this error will go. So let's do one thing, Control Shift. Yeah, the error is gone. So now let me explain this code. It's pretty simple. So I have written this use client because in Next.js we have something called server component. So every page is a server component. So if you are using something, some component which interacts with the front end, then we need to use this use client, because server component doesn't recognize buttons which have click functionalities. So use client is used for that. You can read more in the Next.js their file. So use client is this, and I have imported React. This is pretty simple. And this use theme comes from the next theme which we installed as dependency. Then this props is not required, so you can cut this. As we are using Typescript, it gives us this types prop, but it's not required here. So I have this hook where I have stored a resolve theme and set theme. Now this div is our parent div. Now this div contains a div which has a class name of flex item center gap of 2. Now it has a button which has a on click handler. So what this does is it sets our set theme to resolve theme equals to light. If it is lights, then it will show this, otherwise it will show this. Now the class name is text2xl, and the theme, if it is equals to light, then it will show moon icon, so that if we click it, it will again change it to sun icon. So what we can do, let me show how this works. So let me go back to our page.tsx file, and let's import our theme toggler. Let's see what name I have given. So theme toggler. So here what we can do, we can paste this and import it and save this. Now if I go here, I think it will be visible. All right, it's not working. It's not working because I know this error. So here I need to go to my tailwind config.ts file and give a dark mode as class. Now I think it will work. All right, it was not working because I have not given this dark property here. So before I show the result, let me do one thing. The text here will be black. So let's do one thing. So let's give a div. So let's give a class name to this div, header div, and right here in dark, the text will be, let's say, slate 900. Now if I save this, it's not visible because So in dark the text will be slate 200. Oops. Now it will be visible, and normally the text will be slate 900. So if I do this, as you can see, it's visible now. So now what we can do in this div, we can give a class name, and let's say flex justify 15, and the items will be center. As you can see, it's taking the working, but let's do one thing. Let's give a width of, let's say, minimum width of 400 pixel, but normally the width will be 700. So 700 pixels. So if I save this, as you can see, there is this gap. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a px of 5. All right. Now this h1 will have a class name of text, let's say 4xl. 4xl is too much, so let's say 2xl, and the font will be bold. So save this. All right. Now if I click over here, as you can see, this is doing, but whenever the background is white, the text is also white, so it's not visible. So let's fix that. So what we can do in this div, we can write in dark the text will be slate 200, while whenever the bg is white, so the text will be slate 900. So if I save this, as you can see, now it's not a issue anymore. So now let's go back to our final project and see how much we have done. Now we need to create this one. So similarly, what we can do, we can create another div here, and let's comment it here also. Let's say this is a form. So this div will have a form, and it will have an input as text. Now if I save this, as you can see, it's coming here, which is horizontally aligned, so we don't need that. What we can do, we can give here flex call property. Now if I flex call property, if I save that, all right, as you can see, I have rectified the error which were coming. So what I've done, I have created another div, which is our parent div to this header and form, and created a minimum width of 400, and normally the width will be 700 pixel. The padding x is 5. You can give whatever you want. Now what I can do, this is our header, this is our form. So here what I can do, I can give flex and flex call, let's say flex call, and here I can give a space y of, let's say 5. Let's give it a more spacing, let's say 6. As you can see, there is some spacing between this header and the input. So what I can do, let me give a class name to my input here, and let's say the width, will be full, so it will take the whole width. The padding will be px of let's say 4, and py is 2. All right, let me see the final project. So this will have this background color. So what I can do, I can use ColorZilla again and copy this. So the bg in dark will be of this color. So if I see that, all right, as you can see, it's coming like this. So let me increase the py of, let's say 3. All right, it will have a rounded of md, let's say. So this will have a search icon and a search button here. So let me do that. So this will have a search icon. So as I've added lucid react, so this is like that. We can import the search icon, and let's say the width will be of 30, and let's save this. So is it visible? Yeah, now it is visible. So let's do one thing, the color, will be text blue of 600, I guess. Yeah, 600. Now what we can do, we can remove this width from here. All right, and let's keep the px and py here as well, and let's do one thing. Let's remove this from here, and let's give a class name to our form only. So paste it here. Now what we can do, we can give a bg of inherit to our input element. Right, now let's remove this padding as well for the time being. In the form element, what we can do, we can give a flex items center, so it will be centered. Now here what we can do, we can give a py of let's say 4, all right, and px of let's say 2. All right, as you can see, it's coming like this one. So here is our input. So what we can do, we can give a gap of let's say 2, and this form will also have that button. So let us create a button here. Now you can use satcn buttons as we have installed satcn for doing this, but I'm using normal button. It's your wish. So here I have to write search. This button will have a bg of blue 600, text will be white, it will have a px of let's say 4 and py of 2, it will have rounded md, and this input box, now it will have a width of full. Now what it will do, it will push our button and our search icon to its very end. So now let's do one thing, let's do this py of 2. All right, as you can see, now it's looking all right. Now what we can do, we can give a placeholder here, and let's say search dot dot dot. All right, as you can see, it's working. Let's give a px of 2 so that it will create some gap between this icon and this search. Now we need to remove this outline. So what we can do, we can come back here and we can do outline none, I guess. Yeah, so now if I type, as you can see, there is no outline, so it's looking nice. Now this is done. So what we can do, we can create another div to start creating our stats section. So this is our stats section. Now this div will have the same width, so like this, but the height will be fit. Oops, if I can spell fit. Now this div will have another div which will contain our image and this name and the date of joining. So what I can do, I can create a image. So what I can do, I can import image from next image. We are using next image because it helps us in optimizing image spacing. So this will have a source. Let's give a hashtag here for time being, and this will have a alt of let's say file image. Now we can give a width of let's say 80, let's say 80, and height of gist height of 80 as well. Let's give a class name here, so this will be rounded full. Right, now what we can do, so in this div we can create a class name, and let's give a grid property here and grid of column 3, and let's wrap this image to a div and paste it here. And this div will have a call span of 1, and we will have another div which will contain our name and all. So this will have a call span of 2. Now let's start creating our this name and the joining date. So this name will be in a div, so this will be let's say h2, and let's give my name as and let's give a p tag here, and let's say shmohnty and 10. All right, as you can see, it's visible. Now let me close this extension. Now let's do one thing. This will have a bg of induct. The bg will be same as of the search. Copy this and paste it here. All right, let's give a padding of 4 from all the side, and it will have a rounded medium property. So do that. Here we'll have another p tag which will have this joining date. So let me copy this, paste it here. All right, we'll have some class name Now let me add some class name so that it matches our final project. So let's come here and alright, now in my input tag, what I can do, in dark the text will be slate 200 and normally the text will be slate 900. So if I save this, alright, it's working. Now let's do one thing. This form, let's give a shadow of MD. If I switch to alright, it's visible. Now let's copy this text color class names from here and paste it to our main div. So if I change that, alright, it's working. Now here in the paragraph tag which has my username, let's give a class name here, and this will have a text of blue 600. The font will be medium, and similarly here in my h2 tag, what I can write, give a class name here, and let's say text of LG, and the font will be bold. Let's not give a bold as let's change this to font semi bold. Let me close this. So there is this error. So if I save this, as you can see, it's aligned. Now this div which holds our name and the joining date will have a flex, which will only happen when it is MD. So MD flex, let's give a margin bottom of 4, and whenever it's MD, let's give a margin bottom of 0. Alright, so this div will have some class names that are required so that it aligns properly here. So let me copy that from my final project. Let me copy that and I will explain it to you. Alright, as you can see, I've added some of the class names that are required for this image. So this class name will have an overflow hidden, because whenever we add our image, it should not overflow from this circle. It will have a call span 1 as it's taking this. Then it will have a width of 100. So this is our this gray background. It has a width of 100, height of 100 pixel, and BG slate 400. It will have a rounded full. As it's a circle, items will be centered and justify center. The margin bottom will be 5, and MD screen MB will be 0. Alright, now let's start creating our this below section. So what we can do, we can give a div here, and this will have our, let's say, p tag, and this will have our bio. So let me copy my bio from here and paste it here for the time being. As you can see, it's visible. Now let's create this following and repo section. So let's create a div again, and this div will have a class name of width full. The BG will be, let's see what is the background color. So let's copy it here, and all right, this will be in dark. So save this and go back. It's not visible because I have no content added in this div, so it will be visible. So let's add some content here. Before that, let's give a grid here of grade. The grid will be column 3. All right, now let's create a div here. This div will have a p tag. Let's go back to here, and this div will have a p tag, and it will have repo, and also there will be another p tag which will hold our number. So let's hard code it for the time being, and let's copy this div over again. So paste it here, save this. As you can see, it's visible. Now let's give a py of 4 and px of 2. So let's give a py of, let's say, 3 and px of 4. Now what I can do, as this is our div, what I can do, I can create a flex and give a flex call here as well, and give a space y of 5. All right, space y of 5 is too much, so let's give a space y of 2. Now come back here. So this is our repo section, let's say, and this div holds our all the things that are below this images. So let's give a class name here as well, and let's give a flex. It will have a flex call and give a space y of 4. Now what we can do, we can give a rounded MD here as well so that it looks nice. All right, now let's change something. So this will be follower, so copy it from here and it will be here, paste it here. So copy and paste it here. Let's keep the numbering same for the timing, as we'll be getting our this numbers from the API which we'll call. Let's create another div. This will be our links, and here in this div will have a class name of grid. The grid will be column 2. Now let's start creating our this link section. So let's create a div, and this div will have this location. So let's go to our Lucid React icons and search for location, and this is map pin. So I can import map pin here, map, and it will have a p tag which will, let's copy it for the time being, not available. So if I save this and go to our current project, as you can see it's visible. And let's give a class name to our this div and give a flex here so that it's horizontally aligned. Let's give a gap of 2, and let's also give item center. Now what I can do, I can simply copy this div and paste it 4 times. All right, as you can see it's visible. Now let us change some things. So this will have a male image, so let's see what's the name of this. All right, male. So here what I can do, I can import male from Lucid React. After that we have this link. So what I can do, I can import link from Lucid React, and I have this building. So building from Lucid React as well. So if I go back to our final project, as you can see it's visible. Now what we need to do, we need to give some gap in between. So let's give a space y of 4. Now let's add a class name which is text ellipse, and here what I can give, let me select all this paragraph tag. All this will have a truncate property, truncate. All right, now this div which has our bio will also have a class name of text ellipsis, and this paragraph tag will have a class name of truncate. So the initial UI is done. Now you can use effect hook here so that you can handle the API, but I'll be using TanStack Query for handling the APIs. Why? Because TanStack Query has some pre-built methods that are very helpful in doing something like this. It has refetching options, it has loading options, and it has many more things which you can go and read from their docs. So I'll be using TanStack Query for fetching our data, and it will help us in minimizing the use of use state hooks, because here we need to create a use state hook for many things, and TanStack Query will help us in minimizing the use of hooks here. So let me do one thing. Let's go to TanStack Query and let's install it. As I'm using pnpm, as I said earlier, I have to copy this. So I have copied this, paste it here and hit enter. So let it install. As you can see it's done. All right, now what we can do, we have to create a file which is like a query provider, which will helps us in providing the data throughout our documents. So here in component section, what I can do, I can create another file which is our, let's say, query provider.tsx. So let me paste the code here and I will explain to you how it's done. So as you can see, I've created this query provider. It has in the first line it's use client, then I've imported something called query client and query client provider from TanStack React Query. This line is not required, you can delete it as well. Now I have created this variable called query client which holds our new query client. Then this is a simple thing which I am returning. So query client provider which I have imported, it will have a client property, and this client will hold this query client here which I have created, and I am passing this as a prop. So this will be our children, which will helps us in providing the data throughout all the pages and routers that we'll have. In my layout.tsx file, I have imported the query container from this, as I have named this as query container, wrapped this children parameter with query container. Now let's go to our page.tsx, and here what I can do, first I need to create let's say username and set username with use state hook. All right, now this will be a string. Now let me show you something. If I save this file, there will be this error. So that's why use client is important. So as we are using use state hook, which is dynamic, we need to use client here so that it doesn't shows any error. So if I save this, now it's not showing any error as this is our client page. So now what we can do, we can create a right here const. Let's say this will have a curly braces, and we can write use query from TanStack Query, and this will have our first parameter as query. Now this query key, let's name it here as data. All right, and then we need to write query function. So this will be a function. So now here is where you need to fetch the API. So I can use fetch, and here I need to paste our API string. Then we'll have a dot. Then I will receive a response and I will save it as res.json. Now let me grab the API URL and paste it here. As you can see, I have pasted this API URL. Now here, as you have noticed, I have used username, and this is our dynamic username. So whenever we search, it will fetch the username from that API and store it in our set username, and so that we can use it from here. All right. Now in the form section, what I can do, I don't need this. I can create a submit. So on submit, it will have a handle submit function. So we have not created that handle submit function, so that's why it will show error. So let me create that. So function handle submit. So first we need to get the form event. So this is our form event, and what we need to do, we need to stop the default behavior of saving the form, which is reloading. So e dot event default. Now we can use something called a refetch, which I will get from here, from our use query. So here I can call refetch, and here what I'll do, I can get a data and is loading from our use query. Now as I am using Typescript, I need to provide some types for this use query because it's of any type. So what I can do, I can create a file called types.ts, and here I need to paste the types that are required for this project. So I have already the types, so let me paste that and show it to you. So here are all the types that we will receive from that API. So as we are using TypeScript, we can use this. Now I have added this message so that we can handle our error. Let's go back to our page.tsx. Now what we can do, we can come back here and give this arrow brackets. So let's data prop from types. So now this will have all the data types. So let's save this, and now what we can do, we can come back to our form which has our input, and here what we can write, on change event from here and set username to e.target.value, and the value will be username. Now let's do one thing, let's keep here search here. So now I have the data. So now what I can do, I can wrap this div with the data which I am getting from that API. So what I can write here curly braces and write if data is available, then show this, otherwise show null. So now what I can do, I can write here data dot avatar URL, or it will be empty. So I'm not saving the file right now because I think it will fetch it again. So if we continuously fetch the API, it will cross its limit and it will not work. So I'm not saving the file as of now. So the name will be data dot, is there a name property? Yeah. Now the username will also be something like that. So if you have curly braces, so data dot login. So now what I can do, similarly what I've done here, uh, I can write here join. So it will be, I think, data dot created at. Yeah, so what I can do, I can copy this API, paste it here, and let's call my name as here. So what I've done, I've called this API from a new tab so that I don't need to save this file again and again. So if I do that, the API limit will be crossed and I will not be able to use that API. So from here, what I can do, I can see all the results available in the API and fill it here. Now let's go to our bio. So it will have data bio. So if it has data bio, then it will show data dot bio, otherwise it will show not available. Similarly here, what I can do, I can give, so here what I can write, if public repo is there, so show data dot public repo, otherwise it will show 0. So similarly here, what I can do, if data dot followers is present, then show data dot followers, otherwise show 0. Similarly here as well, if data dot following is present, then show data dot following, otherwise show 0. Now similarly what I have done here, I have to do this here as well. So let me do that quickly and show it to you. Alright, as you can see, I have done this. Now if I go back here, it will not be visible. So in the use state, I can write, copy this and paste it here. Now if I save this and search it, so this error is very common in Next.js, as I'm using image which is coming from another backend server, which is coming from a unknown API. So to fix this, I need to go to this site. So here, as you can see, I need to go to config.js file. So let's go to config.m.js file. So as you can see, const next config. Here what I can write images, and we need a remote pattern. Then we need a protocol. We need a remote pattern which will have protocol. So this protocol will be HTTPS, and then we'll have a host name. All right. Now this host name will come from here. If you see this one, so copy this and paste it here. Now if I save this, I think the error will be gone. So what I can do, I can stop my server and run it again. So npm run dev. Now if I refresh my Chrome page, I think it will work again. So let's check that together, if it's working or not. So it's compiling. So let it compile, and we need to add a error state now. So the error state, all right, as you can see, it's visible. Now if I search, all right, as you can see, it's coming, but the formatter is wrong. So let me fix this image. So what I can do, I can come back here and give a width of 100, and this will be 100 as well. And this formatter, I need to add a formatter in my created at date. So let me add that, and I'll show it to you. All right, as you can see, it's done. Now the only thing is left is I need to add that loading state. Now in Next.js, we can create a loading.tsx file here as well. So loading.tsx will be loading.tsx file. So let me copy this loading page, and let me show it to you what will be the loading page. Now as you can see, I have added the loading page here. Now this is a pretty simple loading page. I have created this. I have imported this loader 2 icon from Lucid React, and I am adding this animate spin here from Tailwind CSS, and it has a flex, justify center, item center. The width will be full, the height is 100 vh. So this is looking like this. So if I go to my page.tsx file, now what I can do after this, so if the screen is loading, so what I can do, I can come here and write loader component. It's visible. All right, as you can see, I have imported the loader component by simply typing if is loading. So this loading is coming from React TanStack Query. So return this loader component. If I save this and let's refresh it, so that you can see the effect. As you can see, it's rotating. All right. So the only thing left is our handling the error state. So what I can write, I can give data if it's message, then it will show this div. Otherwise, cut this from here and we need to paste it here. So let's remove this curly braces from here. Now if I save this, as you can see, our screen is loading and this is our initial state. Now let me explain what I have written in this message. So if data.message, then it will show a div which has all the background color that are in this, but it will show a paragraph tag which has user not found. So let me do this random user and let's click search. Now as you can see, it shows user not found. So I just saw this error, which is this username will come down here and this date will go up here. So to fix that, what we can do, we can cut our flex from here and paste it here. So first you need to come to this div which contains our name and username and fix this. So, and the justify, you have to add justify between here so that it works properly. Now if I save this, this will reload the page. So let it reload, and yes, as you can see, the project is complete. The error has been fixed. And if you like this video, hit the like button, share it, comment down below, and see you again in the next one. Till then, peace.